All right, we're rolling. It's Freedom Feel like to subscribe. What are we talking about today? I want to talk about how Christianity really has a problem that it's way too forgiving in the modern age. But Christianity's about forgiveness. I'm sorry, but I'm telling you, this is part of the reason that the church is fucking dead in a lot of places. I mean, it might be growing here and there, but is it actually anything that supports traditionalist society? Because, for instance, there's this trend, and we all saw it coming as all these women are starting to hit the wall. And it turns out that putting your butthole pictures on the internet on OnlyFans or, like originally the Kardashians and all this other stuff was a Paris Hilton and all that was these are the origins of this. And way back in the day, like if you did porn, there was a little bit of stigma to it. And I can understand to some degree some sex positive things, but when it goes from being, my body, my choice to who I sleep with to, hey, let's just like full out. Let's just do everything. Let's do the Bukkake choke slam. Let's do the weirdest thing in a kiddie pool with turds. And I'm not saying it's all of them, but like maybe you could argue some of the weird fucking dildo shit that you see these days, like weird dicks comes from this new age culture that we have. Like, what can titillate people. And fine, if that's what you want to do. But what's funny is that you see this, normal girl growing up, teenager, and then gets a little taste of like, hey, lots of free money from stupid guys. And this goes on maybe for a little while. And then, as one chick said, well, the problem with the OnlyFans is if you don't make it big, you might be just known in your community as that chick that did OnlyFans. And you know what? Honestly, it's like that old joke. They don't say something the bridge builder or McCarthy, the man who saved something. You bang one pig. And that's what OnlyFans is for women. You did OnlyFans, and forever you will have that stain. And probably people in the long run will write books about it like they did the 60s or the 70s or some other crap. Or like people that were prostitutes, and how much of our culture has been influenced by that line of thinking as well. Like I'm not against people going out and being promiscuous. What I can't stand is traditionalist people with real traditionalist values, then taking people that are clearly toxic for ages back into the flock. Because you know what I've noticed? Women can go out and basically do all this crazy stuff. They can go and bag Chad Thundercock and his friends and all this crap, basically be part of a harem, show her butthole pics online, and then they'll take her back. But if you got a guy that's failing in some way, and yeah, sometimes they'll help some drug addicts or drunks out, but your role as a man is never fucking changed in that religion's eyes. You got to go out. The only reason you exist is to work, pray and work. That's it. Pray and work. That's a man's goal. But a woman can go out there and have any sort of phase. And this is just the way things are. Women are innately reproductively more valuable than men because it takes a man how long to recharge a super soaker sperm cannon? It takes, 9 months to make a baby plus a little recovery time. So we're talking one baby a year. We get it biologically why this is the case. But it does get a little grating when people are talking about, well, forgiveness, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. You know why a lot of these women are really hopping off the sex positive, a pro-feminist. Now they're I'm a trad wife now. I've seen the light because the grift they had before isn't paying. That's it. And you know what? Why a lot of that is? It's because a lot of you women are hitting the fucking wall. Yeah. It turns out, late, like if you were I'm born in 1980, so a lot of the women in my time they've already hit the wall a long time ago. They're not ugly. They're not what they used to be. You get about, let's say, from 15, maybe if you take care of yourself, to 35. That's what you get. You get 20 years. So how many of these people grew up, they were born in some point in the 80s or the early 90s, and now they're like, well, shit. Now the gravy train's gone. I better find, what's good, Mortimer McSquaresville, who has a good business, he's already got a house, he's got a future. After all that Chad Schlong Dong. And this would be one thing, but what gets on my nerves, like I said earlier, the Christians. Personally, I want a little more fire and brimstone. I want a little more exiling. Like, as a guy that's basically, if you're not part of some religious group back where I grew up, there's just kind of a weird aura because they have their little cabal, just like there's also the people that go to the bar. If you're not part of someone's group, as you get exiled. But as a woman, for some reason, if you're not part of, yeah, they'll talk shit about you, but look how quickly they're willing to forgive you and take you back into the fold. Why? Because you have a pussy. And I'm sorry, but this is one more reason why guys look at religion and you're like, well, okay, so my role is to basically work and pray until I die. Be reliable, do all the things right, and then if I get fucked over, it's like, well, that's just the way it happens, the way of God. Where's the people of God in the divorce world? Where are they saying, no, there will be no divorce? Unless there's some real serious situation, there will be no-fault divorce. Where are those people? This is why a lot of guys, by the way, guys have never, not all, but a lot of guys have never been sold on the whole Jesus thing. A lot of it's just our family and our community. And then, you just got to fit in. And, of course, the wives. Religion, in my opinion, a lot of times, like the real hardcore old school religion, that's a religion for men. It's hard. It's tedious. You're sacrificing. There's a lot of things. Oh, I shouldn't say sacrifice. You're exchanging a lot of good times and pleasure for what you believe in the afterlife. No. And this whole thing with OnlyFans chicks and, sex positive feminists and all that stuff, where you've went and, even chicks that were full out prostitutes. This modern age crap where we found God and now I'm a trad wife. No, you just found the new grift. You always could, and this is what it is. A lot of these women could always count on that grift being there. By the way, how do I know this? I saw this with girls that were somewhat feminist / lesbians. Remember the 90s, late 90s style lesbian, or in late 90s, early 2000s, back when it was cool and popular. You know how trans stuff got cool and popular? And they're like, well, why do you think trans is a phase? Because I've seen these phases before. Chicks that were lesbians. Now, mind you, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you could be as much of a lesbian as you wanted. If you decided to go back to dudes, it's like, but I was just a phase. That's not how it works for dudes. Once somebody's getting dick as a dude, you're just gay. And, that's the thing about it. People can kind of tee-hee joke about what women do and then take them back into the flock. And as I said earlier, it's just because reproductively women are more valuable than men. That's just what it is. Takes a year to basically 9 months and then a little recovery time, a year to produce a baby. Takes how many minutes to recharge a super sucker sperm cannon? So women are more valuable. But that's the entire reason. And this is also why I'm really fucking sick and tired. This is part of the reason I can't take modern Christians seriously. I'm sorry, but if someone's doing the scarlet red letter thing that's so horrible, and you don't exile this person or burn them at the stake, then how can I take your religion seriously? It says right in your books what not to be doing. And don't give me this forgiveness crap. It's how many times do you got to forgive somebody before you realize they're just using your concept of forgiveness as a cheat code for life? And what you got to wonder is if you gave that person a fresh slate to do it over again. They didn't hit, reversed them hitting the wall. These women got better looking. What if they got better looking at some point? Do you think they wouldn't do the same fucking patch again? Or maybe they'd be a bit smarter about it and be like, well, okay, I'm going to be younger again for a little while. I better marry a fucking doctor. But understand, they were just using, at the time when it made sense for them to use their youth, fertility, and looks, and selling butthole pictures on the internet. That's what they did. And I think the world would be a lot better if we brought back that positive form of shame. But unless you're going to do that, then don't expect people to really believe that your religion is fucking anything. I mean, as hardcore as Islam might seem at times, I do respect that they do stick to some of their values. And the same thing with the Orthodox community. But the minute you start taking back every Tom, Dick, and Harry and every Jane and Fiona and whatever the fuck type of person, I'm just telling you. There's no fucking point in having a religion if you don't actually hold some of your values. So either bring back fire, brimstone, burning at the stake occasionally, maybe I know it sounds hardcore, or just admit it, that all you're doing is basically forgiving people so you can fill the fucking pews and put fucking offerings in the plate. And like I said, that's a lot of the reason that like guys look at religion these days as an absolute joke. Because how do you treat guys? And the myriad of ways you forgive women for basically doing what you tell them not to do. But Jesus said, oh my God, Jesus didn't say forgive everybody that's doing butthole pics. I'm just saying. Anyways, take it easy.